Welcome back to the channel. Hope you're all having an amazing day. I'm James Salvatore, and today I have the 2021 Land Rover Defender 110 SE model. And like always, I'm going to be sharing some things you need to know about the vehicle, and then we're going to go out for a drive and I'll share my opinions on it with you. But before we get into the video, if you're new, be sure to smash that like button for the YouTube algorithm, and be sure to subscribe and turn on the bell notification so you don't miss out on future uploads. On the channel, I typically review new cars, do new car comparisons, classics, exotics, and kind of everything in between. So if that sounds like your thing, be sure to stick around. And with that said, cue the cinematics. In the Land Rover world, the Defender nameplate has been around for quite a few decades at this point. And for the 2020 model year, with the announcement of the new generation, Land Rover made headlines worldwide with the Defender. With its stunning, new, fresh, retro-looking, iconic design, the Defender just has such a presence to it. And with the history it has behind it, it's just, you know, it was an important vehicle for them to get right. And today we're gonna talk about how well-rounded this vehicle is. Is it something that you should buy as a family, everyday driver type thing? Or is it something that you should buy if you're kind of just going for a purpose-built off-roading vehicle? For starters, with the SE model, up front, you get adaptive LED headlamps with their signature halo LED running lights, which just add a nice presence to the vehicle. And down below, you do have LED fog lights, which may help in nighttime conditions. I like that they used LEDs and not just a halogen beam there, because a lot of companies cheap out on the fog lights and it makes it kind of virtually useless. Moving around to the side here, we have the upgraded 20-inch wheels here. And when it comes to performance, you have a 3-liter inline six that produces 395 horsepower and 406 foot-pounds of torque, mated to an 8-speed automatic transmission, which gives you pretty good fuel economy. In the city, you can expect 17 miles per gallon, and on the highway, 22, which is pretty good considering that this is a full-size SUV. Moving on to the interior of the Defender, it really does match the exterior in terms of that modern, rugged look. On the inside here, you have an interesting choice of materials, as well as a lot of hard touch plastics. Yes, you know, you see that in most vehicles that would be a negative. However, in an off-roading, rugged vehicle that's supposed to be durable, this is something you should come to expect, simply because, you know, if you're off-roading, you want an interior that is able to be cleaned with relative ease. Moving on to the infotainment system, as you can see, we have a very clear layout. This is laid out in kind of like a smartphone app configuration. Now, you can have tiles that are a little bit more aesthetically pleasing, but this I think is a lot more functional. I like this layout better. Very straightforward. As you can see, you have your standard system navigation. It's a pretty nice map. I could see it being useful, easy to input stuff. However, you do have Apple CarPlay and Android Auto as standard with this vehicle, which I assume most of you will probably use. Now, one of my favorite features about this vehicle is the camera system on this is absolutely amazing. When you hit it, it will definitely be very useful in off-roading, because it will give you a 360 view of the car from like the outside of the car, like a bird's eye view. And with the click of a button here, you could raise the vehicle to a maximum ground clearance of 11.4 inches. As you can see, pretty straightforward. This vehicle is really all about function. Now let's hop into the rear and discuss rear legroom as well as the third row. Getting into the back here, before we step in, one of the things I want to point out is, again, the use of durable materials. So say if you're going off-roading and you know it's going to get muddy, you could take the carpets out of the vehicle and you have a hard plastic floor liner that's easily cleaned. Getting into the rear, things are pretty comfortable here. I have a decent amount of leg room, as you can see here. I got plenty of room, you know, between my seat setting in the front and my knees. And in terms of headroom, I have plenty. You could easily probably fit somebody who's 6'5" back here. Absolutely no problem at all. I also do like the panoramic sunroof that this vehicle has. And then in the rear, it kind of keeps true to the older vehicles. You have these side glass windows here that are really cool. Just take a look. And then another thing I'd like to highlight is throughout the whole vehicle, you have a lot of USB chargers. Some USB-C, some normal, some traditional car charging ports. You have plenty on the dash. And I have to say, I think my favorite part of the Defender is the rear end. I mean, it's just so distinctive. With these oval flush LED tail lamps, there's no mistaking it for any other vehicle other than this, especially with the tire hanging on the back. Now, when you go open the tailgate, it opens off to the right. And if you take a look, you could fold down the third row of seats pretty easily. You just pull the handle and push down. And excuse my camera gear back here, but with the seats up, you get 10.7 cubic feet of cargo storage. And then with them down, it's 34. If you need more storage, you could put down the second row of seats as well. And you can see back here, Land Rover has been pretty smart, again, with the use of durable materials. As you can see, this trunk liner is all hard plastic, and even the second row of seats is covered in that hard plastic. So if you have to load things into this car that are dirty or that's, gonna be tough, you're not gonna really wreck the trunk here, and you're not gonna have a stained carpet or anything. Again, hence easy to clean. But enough talking about the Defender. Let's get this out on the road and talk about its driving dynamics. After starting to drive the Defender, the first thing that really hit me was how high the seating position is in this vehicle. I mean, you're very aware of how high you are on the road. It's an upright seating position. It's kind of a boxy truck, so, you really are aware of how large the vehicle feels. But at the same time, I really do like that feeling. I mean, it's very different. It feels unique. As you go down the road, people actually really do look at this because nothing else really looks quite like it. Also, I would like to comment and say that the visibility in this vehicle is very, very good. I mean, the windshield, you could really see out of every angle. There's no blind spots with the B-pillars here. And, as you look out your mirrors, that rear tire there is probably the only weak spot. But other than that, looking out the windows, it's very easy to switch lanes and whatnot without relying on the, blind spot assist. And seeing that this is the V6 model, not the 4-cylinder, it does have a bit of pep to it. It has over 400 foot-pounds of torque, which is definitely, needed in a vehicle this big. I mean, it's not built for speed, but it's just nice to know that you have the power there when you need it, like say if you're passing on the highway and whatnot. I mean, if you put your foot into it a little bit, it gets up and goes a little bit. It's not, super fast, but, again, like if you have to overtake somebody on the highway, it gives you a little shove in the back and, it'll get out of its own way. Now, I haven't tested a 4-cylinder, but my guess is that, you're definitely going to feel the lack of power there. This is a very nice balance. I mean, as you go down the road in here, you look around and the cabin still feels nice, even though you have all these hard touch plastics and not all that supple leather like, you would expect out of the average Land Rover product. It still has a very premium feel in here. And even though this is a more off-road focused vehicle, they did a very nice job with sound isolation in this car. You're not hearing a lot of what's going on outside around you, which I like because, it's not like, something stripped down like, say, dare I say, like a Jeep Wrangler where, you really do hear the world around you. You're hearing, the tire noise, you're hearing everything else. No, this is still a luxury experience as well. It's quiet and refined. For around town and city driving, this really isn't a bad choice. I mean, it's very comfortable and it's not so big to the point where, it's hard to navigate with things. It's still a manageable size. And I actually get a kick out of hearing the turbos spool up. You actually hear the blow-off noise, which is pretty cool. I like it. So for the most part, this behaves like, a normal SUV. It's just got a very different look. It's very comfortable though with the air suspension. Land Rover does an amazing job with air suspensions in general. I mean, on the Range Rover Velar that I drove and the Range Rover V8 Supercharged, that was, the air suspension on that was just absolutely perfect in my opinion. And this, although it's a little bit more firmly sprung than those two vehicles, this is still very comfortable. And the cool thing is, if you want to ride around in the off-road height, I mean, you're just so much higher than every other vehicle on the road. You just really feel like you're looking down on everybody, which is a cool experience. Overall, there's a lot of positives to the Defender. I mean, you have excellent visibility, as I said earlier. You can really see out of this car well. It gives you a nice sense of confidence as you go along the road. It's very comfortable, it's refined. You know, you're not hearing all the outside noise, you know, very nice sound insulation. The tech in here is up to par. You know, it's not laggy, it doesn't feel old or, you know, outdated. You have Android Auto and Apple CarPlay as standard in this. One downside, not wireless Android Auto and Apple CarPlay, but you know, we'll take it. It's not that bad to plug in your phone. I like that, you know, in the digital gauge cluster, you have a few different modes, a few different designs that you could select from. And just overall, you know, it's nice having a vehicle when you need it to, if you have small kids, to be able to seat 7 people in this and pretty much go anywhere and do anything. And, you know, it's just such a distinct vehicle. As you go around, people are just looking at it because it looks different. It looks, you know, it's just got that cool factor to it. However, I wouldn't recommend the Defender if you're somebody who's never going to take it off-road. And the reason I say that is because in the Land Rover model lineup, you also have the Velar and the Sport, which offer you a lot of the off-road capability that you have here, just in a more luxurious package. You know, you have the fine leather and, you know, all the other features that go along with those vehicles. But where I see this being useful is if you plan on going on a lot of like camping trips, or you go off-road, or you know, you have a home in a remote area and it's always muddy and dirty. Because this vehicle, as I showed you earlier, you know, you can remove the floor mats and you don't have to worry about getting the carpets all dirty and, you know, stained and whatnot. And you know, you have all the durable hard touch plastics, you know, that are easily cleaned in this car if you get them dirty. So if you think that you're going to get the interior of the vehicle dirty, yeah, I could see this being your car 100%. But if you're never going to really leave the pavement and you're just getting it for the look, I think you'll probably be better suited in the Velar or the Sport, just simply because you just get a little bit more in terms of luxury in there. However, I just think that Land Rover's done an amazing job at making the Defender a car that's, you know, a true off-roader and in every sense, while making a cabin that's durable but also feels luxurious at the same time. And I think that's what makes the Defender feel special. And you know, as I said before, just add in the fact that, you know, nothing else really feels or looks like this on the market. And it's just, you know, it's a unique experience and it's one worth having. And if you're interested in it, I definitely recommend trying it out. I could definitely see why Motor Trend rated this vehicle so high. I agree with them, and I think that you should check it out. Well, that's all for today's video. I hope you all enjoyed it and that it helped in making your purchase decision. If you haven't done so yet, be sure to help me out by smashing that like button for the YouTube algorithm, because it really helps us small creators. And don't forget to subscribe and turn on the bell notification to be alerted when I post my future uploads. Before we go though, I'd like to say a special thanks to my friends down at Land Rover Darien, Connecticut for making this review possible. They're an awesome, super helpful, friendly group of people to work with. And if you're in the market for a new Land Rover, be sure to check them out. I'm gonna leave a link in my description below so that you could do so. And with that said, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next video.